Hello and welcome to the 2025 ARWS Canadian Grand Prix from the Sanair Super Speedway. Today we have a front row lockout for Simpson Motorsports. It's Edvard Holm on pole once again, with Emma Kickert just 4/100ths of a second away from her teammate. Still looking to get her first pole that wasn't in the 2024 season is the Dutch woman. But in any case, Simpson, I think, will be very pleased to be both starting on the front row as they look to close in the Constructors' Championship on holiday. The second row of the grid has Martin McFry for Foxdale and Yal de Bok for Cascadia. Both of these drivers looking to close a little bit in. McFry has had, in spite of some issues he suffered at Derby last weekend, he actually did manage to put together two solid point-scoring finishes and is starting to separate himself from the pack and perhaps start to close down the top four in the championship, even though he did sort of squander a third-place qualifying effort in the first race there. As for De Bok, well, he finished second last time out in the Manx Sea Grand Prix, so he'll be looking to build on that and potentially take home his second win of the season here today. On row 3, we have Anu Vozu for Scorpio and Philippe Nicolas for Holiday. Nicolas looking to regain the championship lead over this weekend. He enters this race 25 points behind Holm, our championship leader, but has a little bit of momentum on his side as he did win the race, the second race at Derby, the Manx Sea Grand Prix. Right behind them, it's Tomo Kazuma in the second Holiday, and Katie May in the Jones, who managed to put in a spectacular qualifying performance, really maximizing the grip of the Jones and using the slipstream off of one of the more powerful I-Frees to really elevate her from her usual starting position. Similarly, on row 5, well, not similarly in the case of Marco Janša, but particularly in the case of Alberto Cara, who scored 2 podiums at this race, last season. He'll definitely be looking to replicate those performances here over this weekend, and perhaps, potentially, if the cards fall his way, take the first win for Yonglong. They have typically been a bit more competitive around the ovals in their existence in ARWS, so we'll see if they're able to maybe spring a surprise here today. On row 6, it's a little bit of a disappointing qualifying effort for Takuma Taki, who I believe he won this race last season. It was either this race or the Rivière Noire Grand Prix, which would be the second race of our doubleheader here at Sanair. Taki, though, definitely needs to start. Well, he did manage to put together a pretty solid weekend at Derby, so he'll be looking to build on that this weekend in spite of that 11th place qualifying effort. Starting 12th on the grid, we have Amy Gauthier for Checkmate. Behind them, it's Gary Pacer in the second Cascadia in his home Grand Prix. And alongside him, it's Naoki Shinjo for Mecca. Shinjo still only has the one time this season he's actually seen the checkered flag. But he did pick up a podium at Sanair last season, so he'll be hoping that spells good things for him here today. On row 8, it's Nathaniel Cameron, who's quickly starting to establish himself as a little bit of a dark horse for the championship. He's currently third, 57 points behind Holm, but has finished every single race so far this season. We'll see if he can keep up that record here today. And Bradley Dagnall at one point was considered a championship contender, but some poor performances recently, and ill luck with reliability has sort of scuppered his hopes. He'll be hoping to start putting things back in the right direction here today from 16th. It was a dismal qualifying performance, so from Ben Fleet, once considered something of a qualifying specialist was Fleet, but he'll be starting set from a lowly 17th for the Foxtail team, while his teammate, of course, is starting 3rd. Alongside him, it's Václav Malish in the Checkmate, who's starting to get a bit of momentum in the championship going, currently sitting 7th in the standings, tied with Tomo Kazuma. So, equal 6th, I should say. On row 10, it is Malik Sedan in the second mecha and Aurora Summers in the peak. So, good qualifying effort there for Summers. Not so good qualifying efforts for Magda Zervansky in her return to ARWS competition. Of course, substituting for Klon, who is decide to call time on his oval racing career at the very least, while Imani Burrell and Adriatica in general are really starting to struggle in terms of qualifying pace. Only 22nd for Burrell, and that team is starting to look like they're going the wrong direction in the championship. So Burrell will be hoping to but this weekend is actually where Burrell made her debut last season, so this will be the first time she's actually seeing the track for the second time, so maybe she can gain some confidence from that. On row 12, we've got Fu Wen in the second Yangwang and Pierre Saint-Laurent in the second Bentley. The Bentley is also not running particularly quickly around Sanair this weekend. And on the final row of the grid, it's Akia Yamamura in the second Adriatica and Aria Havel in the second peak. And with that, the start of the race is just moments away. So engines now fired here at Sanair, waiting for the green flag to drop and begin this 110 lap Canadian Grand Prix. And it is go. Looks like a good launch there for Holm and McFry, who's swept through into second. Kicker hangs on to third from Nicolas Debach. Vozu, Kazuma, May, Marco Yoncher. Actually, Marco Yoncher takes 8th around the outside coming out of turn 1. Good start there for Yoncher from May and Taki, rounding out the top 10. But it is a spectacular launch for the championship leader, who's already gapped McFry by over a second. So
what a start!
Definitely looking to get a move on early and really try and strengthen his hold over that championship lead. McFry hanging on to second so far, but Kicker is all over the back of that Foxtail, looking to find a way through. Nicolas jumped up a little bit after that qualifying effort, but definitely seems to be a bit of a queue forming behind the Frenchman. As I think we've got Mani Burrell there looking to the inside of one of the Yangwang's. Kara able to hang on to that position, but it does look like a poor start for the Tropican racer, but he'll be hoping to gain those positions back through reliability and just a strong race pace. As we see Ben Fleet here taking, that is 16th from Magda Zervansky, so it was a good start for the Hungarian. As we see now Katie May under attack from Takuma Taki, but she's able to hold off the reigning world champion.
Taki very aggressive.
Yeah, very aggressive into turn 2 there, but May's just not interested at all in giving up that position. definitely looks like there's a queue forming up behind Philippe Nicola, who's now dropped over 4 seconds behind Edvard Holm, who is very much in a class of his own, setting fastest lap after fastest lap is the Dane.
Nicola's cornering speed is very concerning. He doesn't seem to have much grip in the corners of this tri-oval and just basically relies on a straight line speed to keep him ahead as we get an overtake attempt, but that one was not gonna work.
Turn 3 is a little bit tight, and it's not the ideal real sort of overtaking position, as Gary Pacer is slowing down the main straightaway here, and I think he's going to have to retire the car here. It's a suspension failure on the Cascade. Yes, I think we saw an overtake. Yeah, I think that was, in fact, Aurora Summers getting past Václav Mališ, so a good overtake here by the Canadian. Of course, a native of British Columbia is Summers, but they're able to use the misfortune of her fellow Canuck and takes over the position from Mališ, so good awareness there from Summers.
Indeed, made use of only a small moment of hesitation and immediately took the position. Very, very confident move. Gotta admire that.
Absolutely. Kicker here still really hassling McFry for that second place, but that gap between these two and Holm has only grown to about 2 seconds, as we see Holm here now has caught the back of the pack here and will stop being able to really pull away so easily. He's got to now negotiate all of this lap traffic. Pretty much for the duration of the race, you would have to assume. Of course, the small consolation and all that is with that advantage, especially now that Kickert and McFry have caught the same lap traffic that he's had to deal with. Ooh, there, Kickert very timid through turn 3 there. But Hedl able to hang on to 24 so far ahead of Yamamura and the much more powerful Honda-powered Adriatica, but Holm at least will not have to deal with, will at least has that margin to work with in the first place, as we see Mališ there make a move on Alberto Cara. So that is the Czech driver up to 18th place. Good move there by Mališ. And he's now challenging, I believe, Burrell for 17th. Nicola now over 8 seconds behind Edvard Holm. It could be a case that Nicola is a little bit wary of going too hard around this oval, as I think that's Emma Kicker in trouble once again. There's been so many mechanical failures for Emma Kicker this season. It really does seem like she's taken the brunt of the poor reliability from that mantle from Edvard Holm. It's another retirement for Kicker. And that will promote Nicola up into a 3rd place. But yeah, Nicola definitely seems to be a lot more tentative around Sanair compared to what we saw from him at the Loudon weekend. Could be a case where he's not willing to risk it quite as much as he was that weekend. Of course, he did have that horrific accident with Klon towards the end of the 2nd race that weekend. And as well as that, there was a pretty nasty collision here last season as well between Nicola and Anu Vozu. So Nicola probably a little bit cognizant of those two accidents. McFly is starting to close back in on Edvard Holm through this lap traffic. The gap is back under 2 seconds. He's got a couple of cars in front of him right now. As we see Nathaniel Cameron here, he's just hanging on to a 12th from Naoki Shinjo in the Mecha. As we see there, Katie May making her way through past Yamamura. She's still hanging on to that 8th place ahead of Takuma Taki. So this is a very solid drive so far for Katie May in that Jones. Oh, and there's a lot of smoke coming out of Yelda Box Cascadia. Looks like there's still more engine issues on the Ford EcoBoost. I don't think it's particularly long for this world now. He's given up 4th place to Anu Vozu, and it will likely give up a lot more positions than that. Anton Cervanski's had a pretty solid start to this race. She's up to 15th so far. Qualified back in 21st, so that's a gain of 6 positions so far for her. Of course, there have been 2 retirements. Make that 3 now as DeBach finally parks the car. But certainly no rust there for Cervansky as she's trying to put her name forward as to try and make a return to ARWS for the 2026 season. And Martin McFry has just taken the race lead. What's happened here? Oh my goodness, Edvard Holm! He's crashed into the wall! Oh no!
That is the risk that overrating always brings. It's a very dangerous game where you can lose everything you build for within a nanosecond.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, Edvard Holm. Once again, it's another race gone down the drain for him due to a problem entirely of his own making. Just understeered coming out of turn number 3. And his day is done, as is Simpson's. After qualifying both cars on the front row, they are going to wind up with 24th and 26th at the end of the day. Absolutely devastating for them. So yes, that does now mean our race leader is Martin McFry for Foxdale. He's got an 8-second advantage over Philippe Nicolas, who's been elevated up to 2nd. And has a couple of seconds over 3rd place Anu Vozu. Kazuma now 4th from Yoncher, May, Taki, Amy Gauthier up to 8th, and Dagnall and Cameron rounding out our top 10. As we see here, Malik Zidane attacking Aurora Summers for 17th. Summers putting together a pretty good drive so far early on in this one, but there could be pit stops due quite soon. In fact, I think the pit stop window has in fact opened. Should anybody... Oh, goodness, there. Cervansky there, there might have been a bit of contact there between herself and Vaslav Malish. This is the previous lap. So we have Malish looking up the inside there. Cervansky very aggressively. That was definitely contact between those 2 cars. Cervansky needs to be careful there. She doesn't wind up puncturing her tire, but she's hung on to 13th for now. As that is Burrell taking 15th from Kara in all of that mess. Zidane's gotten around Summers. And Fuen and Pierre Solarant are also in that mix. But yes, I do believe the pit stop window for 2 stoppers has opened up now. We are expecting most drivers to pick the 1 stop. It is the preferred strategy here, but the 2 stop available for anybody looking for an alternative should they feel a bit stuck in traffic.
So of course it begs the question whether you won't enter just a new form of traffic if you go for the two-stopper. So I can imagine why most team would be hesitant. There is a very small gap, but on the track map, but taking advantage of that is very hard as we see someone going into the pit.
It is in fact our race leader, Martin McFry. So McFry, very interesting to see Foxdale gambling on the two-stopper strategy here.
So of course the question is obviously, would he have been the race leader without that strategy? It would explain why Nicolas struggled a bit in the early stint, or in this early part of his stint if he is on a one-stopper. That heavy fuel load must have been quite a challenge to haul around this track compared to McFry's. Obviously now we know much like that.
And Vozu and Yontra also on the two-stopper strategy as well. So Euromotor and Scorpio also electing for gambling on the quick times allowed by that fuel load, but it has enabled now Philippe Nicolas and Tomo Cosma to take a 1-2 in this race so far. Katie May is now elevated up into third place in the Jones. If she's the window for this pit stop is through lap 38, I believe. If we see Solaron there completing a move on Alberto, on Fu Wen rather. Yeah, so if May's on a one-stop strategy, this could be a sensational result in the Works for Jones. As we can see there, Nicola really stuck in heavy traffic. And Cosma is right at the back tail of this group, in fact. Vozu's just made a move there on Fu for 18, and she's working for this Group 4 position. We've got more pit stops. It's Naoki Shinjo. Shinjo with a throttle issue on the mecha, so not a scheduled stop for mecha, but definitely more heartaches in that regard. Mani Burrell is also pitting, as is Fu Wen in the second Yangwang as well. You can see Shinjo returning to the track. Stage, I think it is safe to say both the... Oh my goodness, that was contact there between Servansky and Shinjo. That's broken the front wing of Magda Servansky, and she's going to have to dive right into the pits here. Very aggressive pit entry there.
Diving into the pit lane indeed. That's questionable to say the very least. Oh, oh my goodness, what was that?
Have another look there. So this is Servansky coming out of turn 1. That's Shinjo coming out of the pits. That is a very very aggressive rejoin there by Shinjo. I don't think Servansky had much time to react.
Yeah, that is questionable. And so is that. That is... Oh my word. The driving standards are through the bottom of the barrel again.
Oh, and Servansky's lost her rear wing actually in all of that as well. I think that was... Oh yeah, she got hit from behind, so she got hit by both mechas there and lost both her wings. So that's a big shame for the Hungarian, who was hoping for big things, but she's gonna have to deal with a major setback here.
More mecha damage than the average Evangelion episode. What a mess.
And Amy Gauthier has been elevated up into 5th place, so a good run for Gauthier as well in the checkmate. Still running ahead of Bradley Dagdell currently. And Ben Fleet. Both of those are, it would seem, on the one-stop strategy. McFry, after his pit stop, is currently in 7th place. Only about 9 seconds behind Philippe Nicolas, but he's got a lot of traffic to work through to catch up to the race leader. Edel still hanging on to position ahead of Yamamura. This is a pretty decent defensive drive so far for Hedel. She's not really been setting the world on fire since being pulled up, as we see Yamamura finally make the move to the inside, and Hevel hanging on around the outside of turn 1. So yep, she's still not willing to roll over and allow that position to go the way of the Adriatica driver. She's not really been particularly noteworthy in her time in that car, but it has definitely been a good drive for her in this race, I'd say. And Zidane there, way out of shape in turn 1.
The mecha's not making friends here today.
Certainly not. So yeah, Katie Mays hanging on to that 3rd position entirely on her own merits. She's definitely on the one stop at this stage, so it could definitely be a 2nd podium of the season for both her and the team, as we see Servansky there making a move to the inside. That's unlapping herself from Alberto Cara after having to pit and replace both those wings that she lost. Prix has taken 5th from Gauthier and is now attacking Kumataki for 4th. Gauthier now having to defend from Bradley Dagnall for that 6th place. This is Saint Laurent attacking, I believe, Alberto Cara for 14th. Not able to pull that off that move into turn 3.
And of course, St. Laurent is driving with the desperation of a man who knows his job is very much on the line. And
that is
so
Price through into 4th. Dagnall's taken 6th from Taki as Yoncher getting shuffled back in the order. And Malish is slowing. Fast lap Malish with transmission failure on the checkmate. So that is going to be another spanner in the works as he tries to work his way into the title fight. And Ben Fleet also with a similar transmission failure on the Foxtail.
Most of those cars are set up in a way that they only shift once during each corner, but honestly, even that can challenge a transmission when you do it 110 times per lap, so 330 times a race.
Fu Wen there, getting way out of shape entering turn 3. I think he's trying to allow Marco Yoncher through, and I think that's one of the Adriaticas is in trouble. So an Adriatica also now with transmission failure. We're still not quite at the half distance mark in this race. Cara there being shoved out of the way. And I think he's just given up a position to Aurora Summers, so Summers up to 11th place now. Great drive so far for Summers. That is... Oh my goodness, and Yamamura's also stopped on the track. What's happened to Yamamura? Oh goodness, he was completely unsighted. They were completely unsighted and smashed right into the back of their teammate. Oh, that's devastating for Adriatica.
That spotter slept on the job. That spotter, if that spotter has a job by tomorrow's race, then Adriatica have more mercy than I would have as a team boss.
Yeah, I don't know how you could defend that. That is devastating for Adriatica. Both cars out on the spot, and Yamamura, as it was not running particularly well. Stuck behind Araya Havel for most of this race. As Burrell's car finally grinds to a halt there, coming out of turn 1. So Cameron has almost caught Amy Gauthier for 7th place here. Saint Laurent still trying to find a way past Cara for what is now 12th place. McFry's made it up to 3rd place. He's about, what is that? 6.5 seconds behind Philippe Nicolas, and that is Hevel there. It doesn't look like there's a car failure there. I think she was just getting out of the way of everybody. Ooh. And let's take another look at that. Ooh, yeah, she took very last second avoiding action there. A bit spooked by having Shinjo there on her inside, and given the propensity for the mechas to be involved in collisions this race, probably not the worst idea.
I would bet that was a spotter who was 2 on the job.
Quite possibly. Dagnall is now pitting from 6th place. And also into the pits, it is Tomo Kazuma, our 2nd place driver. That will elevate McFry up into 2nd place. He's now just 5.5 seconds behind Nicola, our race leader.
Depending on the traffic, this could turn the tide either in Kazuma's favor or against her. She is in a sort of a duel with her teammate for the win.
Ooh, Taki there having to take late avoiding action to avoid Pierre Saint Laurent there. That is Kazuma coming out of the pits. Right ahead of Martin McFry. So that is that's going to delay McFry in his pursuit of our current race leader, Nicola.
But it also gives Kazuma a bit of free air. This could... Oh, never mind.
No, she's had to let McFry through there as a lap car. Saint Laurent now rejoining the race. Cara trying to find a way back around Summers for 10th place here. And I think we got another car coming into the pits. Amy Gauthier from 6th place in the checkmate. Is Zidane lapping past Havel as... Oh my goodness, Philippe Nicolas! That is the that is one of the most sudden... That was an adventure into the pit lane.
Oh, what the hell?
I think he had to let Anu Vosu through because she was on his inside, but he had to dive into the pits and only just managed to hang on to it. Martin McFry, who cycled back to the race lead now. Ooh, and Kazuma there with a terrible exit from turn 1. That's going to cost her time in trying to hunt down Nicola, who's just completed his service and is returning to the track. In fact, I think Kazuma might just be able to... No, I think Nicola's still got the position. Right now with a 6-second advantage over Katie May, but the top 6 cars still need to make a pit stop in this race, and Servansky is in for her 2nd pit stop. Fry there having some trouble lapping one of the mechas here. There goes McFry finally through on Zidane. And we got more takers into the pits. It's Nathaniel Cameron in the Jones and Anu Fosu making her second stop for Scorpio. A little earlier than I would have expected for a two-stopper, but we'll see. We'll see if it works out for Fosu. And KT May is now into the pit, so Jones there, very quick turnaround between their two cars here. Nicolas just made the move on Zidane for what is now third place. Zidane now holding up Kazuma, but she's able to make the move and takes over fourth place. We've got Kumataki making his pit stop. Aurora Summers.
We got a yellow.
Yellow flags here between turns 2 and 3. Not sure exactly what happened here. What on earth was that?
Oh my word.
Okay, so that just went to the wrong car.
Tried to make a lane pit entry and it just completely lost control of the car. Like, that's the kind of risk you take when you make that kind of pit entry, and it's just...
Yeah, he got caught out by Cosma coming by on his inside, but that was... I mean, there was no need to turn in that aggressively. And it's completely needlessly taken Mecha out of a potential double finish here. Shinjo's still running, but Zidane's day is done. So Nicola now in second place. But I believe currently a lap behind race leader Martin McFry, who still needs to make his final pit stop. We've got one of the peaks in. It is Araya Hevel. Also coming into the pits, it's Alberto Cara. Taki there, really sort of, we have no room to maneuver his Scorpio, having to fend with Amy Gauthier and Naoki Shinjo in this little battle of cars here, all queued up behind Bradley Dagnall. We've got Kara now returning to the track, just ahead of Gauthier and just ahead of Saint-Laurent, so Young Long's pit strategy has enabled Car to hold position relative to the Canadian as Bradley Dagnall. There's a water leak on the Euromotor. Oh dear. And Dagnall sees it continues to go down a tube, it would seem. That Ford EcoBoost is not going to be lasting too much longer. Yontra is coming into the pits. As is Naoki Shinjo. And that is the engine finally cutting out on Dagnall here. Ooh, bit of hairy moment there coming out of turn 2 as all the cars come up on the powerless Dagnall. Fuwen managing to make it into the pits without any issues. Prix still hasn't pitted yet. He's going awfully long on this stint. He must be hoping to... Oh no! Oh! Martin McFry's crashed right to the back of Bradley Dagnall!
And Nicolas is involved as well, isn't he?
Yes, Nicola also involved. I think this is the top 2 cars out of the race.
Okay, he laps this car as appropriate, then everything slows down and oh no, this was very avoidable.
Yeah, Nicola also out. And Cosma, I think
Kazama?
Cosma is out!
Yeah!
The
Oh my
top three
god,
are
oh
all
my
out of the
word!
race!
I have never seen that before.
And you know what this is going to mean? Katie May is going to take the race lead!
This is almost unbelievable. No, this is actually unbelievable. This is inconceivable. This isn't happening.
So, Dagnall out, McFry out, Nicola out, Cosma out. Oh my goodness.
And Kazuma was about to
Yeah, she
least,
smashed right into the back of her teammate.
Yeah. Oh my word. Absolute nightmare for the Atlas Air Holiday Racing team. They must be absolutely devastated.
And the worst part is it was, well, on McFry's part, it was completely avoidable. I think if he just been a bit more tentative coming out of turn 3, he picked up a whole bunch of hundreds here. Went right into the back of Dagnall, and I think Nicola and Cosmo just got swept up in the carnage. So that's... Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! What happened there? Oh no!
God. I'm beginning to think Klon had a point. Normally I wouldn't admit that, but this is insane.
I don't know why Cosma is not next to the wall here. So this is May coming through here. Ooh, she only just... Servansky, they're very aggressive. So Hevel slowing down. Oh, there were... No, there was no spin here between Yontra and Havel. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Cosma is not stopping the car.
Is she even conscious to stop? Thankfully, a heroic marshal intervenes at the risk of his own life.
So, Katie May is now leading this race by 6.5 seconds on Takuma Taki. Amy Gauthier is now third, and Anu Vozu is fourth. I don't think Scorpio are going to be particularly pleased that their cars are being beaten by one W12 car, and the other car is being beaten by two of them. You've got, behind them, Cameron is now up into 5th place. Yontra is in 6th. Then it's Summers, Kara, Shijo, Solarant. Servansky up to 11th by dint of attrition. And Fuwen and Arya Hevel are our last runners currently. Vozu, it does seem, is closing in on Gautier. So, it could be a potential double podium for Scorpio, but I don't think they'll be particularly pleased anyway if Katie May takes this race win, and she very well might because she's got over 6 seconds on Taki. And I don't think Taki's catching her particularly quickly. It was 21:36 for May on that previous lap. Taki only 0.04 of a second faster.
One would expect more from last year's Dan Weldon Memorial Trophy winner, but alas.
With Vozu there getting a bit held up coming out of turn 1 there. What happened? Oh yeah, she makes a dive to the inside, trying to lap Alberto Cara, and picks up a whole heap of understeer mid-corner.
Thankfully, she keeps it out of the wall, but it's just not a particularly wise decision to try this.
Oh, we've got another car slowing on the track. It is Pierre Saint-Laurent. The Bentley power plant in his car has given up the ghost. So now we only have 12 cars still running. As Gautier's into the pits with an electrical issue. Oh dear. Oh, that's going to cost her a potential podium here and give one the way of Anubozu. Is definitely disappointing for a checkmate.
But also more cause for celebration for Scorpio, who did not look like podium contenders earlier in the race.
Yes, although again, I do highlight the fact that none of them are going to be particularly pleased about being beaten on pace, it seems, by Katie May and the Joneses. Hevel there getting out of the way of Cameron's and the other Jones. Jones looking at first and fourth here currently. An excellent drive for the British constructor who have had their growing pains over the few seasons since the return of ARWS, but definitely seem to be hitting their stride this season.
It will be their first win since Suzuka 2023, if this holds.
And it will certainly help them in the constructors' battle. They are currently only 11 points behind Simpson, who are second in the constructors. And so a constructors' championship tilt is not out of the question here for Jones this season, if they can build on this kind of effort. I know May had her reliability issues earlier in the season, but those seem to have been resolved for the most part, and she's been picking up some pretty solid results. Of course, Cameron currently looking like he's going to maintain his record of finishing every single race.
Of course, we are. Sorry. Of course, we're also looking at Volkswagen's first win as an engine supplier, even though they are just rebadged Bentleys, but the record will show that as a Volkswagen win if it comes to pass.
Indeed. And May has actually gapped Taki by another couple of seconds. I'm looking over in the Scorpio pits, and Kane Redgrave is not looking particularly pleased. His face is about as red as his name. And that is, Sravansky there, forced out of the way by Taki. He's now 8 seconds off the lead.
That's frustration. Thankfully, Sravansky was smart enough to not engage with him on that level. Obviously, there is little benefit to her doing that, given that she's both far away from Gauthier and well ahead of Wen. So she's basically just clogging in the laps, hoping that the performance so far has impressed, because barring something extraordinary, which obviously we do not wish to discount, her chance of impressing Klon, if he's watching, is done for the day at least. Tomorrow is another chance, obviously.
We do look like we have a battle for 6 here. Summers, Kara, Shinjo, and Gautier all in touch for this position. And yet Taki's just got absolutely nothing for Katie May. If the car holds together, this is looking very, very good for Katie May.
Which is good, because Volkswagen had to lose a lot of feathers in the duel of the German manufacturers across all forms of motorsports, given as BMW scored a win in the other series, and Audi are championship contenders in said other series.
Gautier there taking 8 from Naoki Shinjo, so she's able to recover a little bit from the unscheduled pit stop due to the electrical issue. It's not gonna be the podium that she was looking at earlier, but definitely definitely put in a solid performance in this race has Amy Gautier.
Oh
no! Oh no, Nathaniel Cameron! And that is the end of his streak of finishing races here. Just 10 laps to go. He might still be classified. I'm not sure exactly how it will work out, but actually probably not, because he was surely a lap down at this point. It means that this is now a battle for 5th. Summers pulling away from Kara because Kara's really having to defend hard from Amy Gautier here.
But he cleverly avoids leaving an opening. He teases one. Oh, Janša in trouble.
Janša with a transmission failure. Ooh, they're dropping very quickly late in this race, and Gautier able to use Janša to sneak back around Kara and take over 5th place, so very heads-up driving there by Amy Gautier, as Janša's day is finished. In fact, Vozu is actually closing in on Taki here. I'm not sure if she's going to be able to catch, much less pass her teammate, but this is definitely not the race that we would have expected Taki, as the reigning world champion and a former winner at this circuit, to be putting in today.
Of course, Vozu also has to secure a seat for herself next season. Her results have not been particularly more impressive than Taki's, even though she's ahead of him in the championship.
Yeah.
So obviously, both will be motivated to battle if they can't win this race, which they should be winning, but...
Gautier now closing in on Summers, potentially for 4th place here as Shinjo takes 6 from Kara, so Shinjo up into 6th place. Gautier really challenging Summers there into turn 2.
The pace differential now being very noticeable on these lighter cars. The hybrids just cannot hang on an empty tank, no matter what car does. Even though, yes. Go ahead.
No, that said, Summers there was trying to, was able to block Gautier for at least one more lap, as we've only got a couple more still to go here. As Katie May comes up to start the penultimate lap of this race. He is still trying, not quite able to find a way to the inside of the peak of Summers here. And behind them, Katie May is just one lap away from an incredible win here at Sanair. Let's focus on the battle for 4th here. Gautier again looking up the inside.
He's just too impatient for his own good.
It is off turn number 3. Katie May takes her first win, and the first win for Jones since 2023. A spectacular drive for the Irish woman. Taki and Vozu complete the podium, and Amy Gautier has taken 4th from Summers on the final lap here. We'll have a... Yeah, she took it into turn number 1 here on the final lap of the race. Summers winds up 5th, Shijo 6th, and Kara 7th.
well done by Summers to recover from that move to not let the other two through as well. And you have to admire that bit of defensive driving. And of course, we can't forget with KD May's victory, there are persistent rumors of ARWS and Auto Reject International looking into an Irish Grand Prix. So if that isn't an advertisement to make that happen, I don't know what would be.
Certainly. A lot of exciting calendar moves in the works, it seems. It's also been announced that the Argentine Grand Prix will be switching from Formula One to ARWS from next season onwards. But yes, definitely a lot to look forward to here. But looking a little further down the grid, you can see
And indeed,
there.
Cameron was classified.
Yeah. So Cameron maintains his 100% classification record at the very least, even if he didn't see the checkered flag in this race. And there you can see 14th through 16th, McFry, Kazuma, Nicola, three drivers who very well each could have won this race and then taken out after in just sort of a swept up in a crash after McFry unable to avoid the failing Bradley Dagnall car. Also, issues for the Simpson team. Of course, they both failed very early in the race. Kickert with a transmission failure and Holm with what appeared to be a skill issue. Holm did at least pick up the fastest lap of the race, so that is some consolation to our championship leader. I think he should at least be able to hang on to his margin over Nicola, but we will have to double check that.
I think he even extended his lead with the fastest lap points by, I think, a point or so, but
quite possible, yes.
I'd have to see the full result again to check that.
Kickert second quickest lap and McFry third fastest lap. Amy Gauthier with the sixth fastest lap in the checkmate. She was really also, on fire in this race.
Don't overlook Alberto Cara and the Yang Wang having the 8th fastest lap.
Yes, excellent drives by both of those. You can see the holidays down there in 13th and 14th, very unusual territory for them.
The Bentley pace also quite dire.
Indeed. But that
not as dire as Ben Fleet, though.
Oh, hang on, let me just double check. Oh my god, Ben Fleet was 25th in a Foxtail. Oh my goodness.
Gary Pacer also not particularly endearing himself.
Indeed. But that is it for us today from the Canadian Grand Prix. We will be seeing you tomorrow for the Rivière Noire Grand Prix. Right back here at the Sanair Super Speedway. We'll see you there.